who's talking about them like mad
Uh-huh.
in his book. And
Ingo, hold it right there. We're at a break point. Listen, everybody. Ingo has written a whole bunch of books that you're going to want to read about. On my website, we've got links to his books. Go up there, www.artbell. Scroll down to the name Ingo Swann and read.
I'll give you everything and more, and that's for sure.
Want to take a ride? Call Art Bell from west of the Rockies at 1-800-618-8255. East of the Rockies, 1-800-825-5033. First-time callers may reach Art at 1-775-727-1222. The wildcard line is open at 1-775-727-1295. And to call Art on the toll-free international line, call your AT&T operator and have them dial 800-893-0903. This is Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell from the Kingdom of Nye.
I wonder if that's true, that you might not come back. Good morning, everybody. From the high desert, I'm Art Bell. My guest is a rare bird. He's Ingo Swann, thought to be one of the greatest naturals who's ever lived. We'll get right back to him.
Now, from the Kingdom of Nye, more Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Here again is Art.
Well, all right, back down to Ingo Swann. After that last little bombshell, I would like to ask Ingo just exactly how much do you know about human extraterrestrial intercourse, intellectual or otherwise?
Well, 50% of what I know is I put in my book, Penetration, the question of extraterrestrial and human telepathy.
That's right. It's called penetration, isn't it?
Penetration. That's what secrecy's all about, man. You know, keep it from being penetrated.
This is your latest book?
No, I had written a number of books which no publisher would touch with a 10-foot pole. You know, so eventually I decided to publish them myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I think the things that I've experienced and learned, I should put them in print somewhere, so.
And your latest book, is it self-published as well?
Yes, Penetration is self-published. Then I went ahead and did the Psychic Sexuality book, too, because this is another, I mean, it's very hard for you to think that anything can be covered up about sexuality. But indeed it can. And it was a good way to show how the entire field of energetics is covered up, too. So I published that one, too.
All right, then give us just a sort of a 101 on human ET contact. Is it extensive? Has it been going on a long time? Are there a lot of bases? People have a lot of questions about this, Ingo.
Yes, I know they do. The only thing I can do is, many years ago when I was working at the United Nations, I came across a book called Spacemen in the Ancient East. And I wrote to the author, who's, I'm sure, deceased by now, and carried on a correspondence with him, you know. And he had tracked the historical story of ETs coming to Earth. And then he wrote a book called Ancient Astronauts in the West, Ancient Astronauts in Israel. And, it just went on and on and on. And I said, good heavens, you know. And the thing about this book is that this guy learned 9 languages in order to read original texts and things like that, and he gave the references.
Now, more of Coast to Coast AM.
So I checked out some of the references, and they were there. So this is a well-researched document. He couldn't get his books published in the United States. He got to be quite famous in England and in Europe, and especially in Italy for some reason. But there was one version of Spacemen in the Ancient East published here in the United States, and then after that, no publisher would take his books on, and he wrote about 10 of them. So, I said, well, why is it that these books won't get published in America?
Mm-hmm.
And at the bottom line, they're just too revealing, right? I mean, they say the right things. They do the right history. They document it and everything like that. So I said, well, there's some kind of cover-up going on here, I mean, powerful people do have control of book publishers. And so that started me off in the 60s on this kind of interest, and that was before I started doing experiments in laboratories on ESP and PK and things like that.
First-hand knowledge in this area, Ingo?
Yes, I do. It's really strange.
That's okay. This is the home of strange.
This is the home of strange.
Yeah.
Well, in 1975, I found myself invited into a very strange remote viewing thing, and the whole story of that is the first part of my book, Penetration. And it turned out that this was really, really strange, the way it went about and things. But it turned out that the guy involved was very obviously part of a larger system having deep concern in extraterrestrial matters. He wanted me to remote view certain locations on the moon, of all things.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. And then he kept asking, while we were doing this, it took about 3 days in an underground installation somewhere. It took about 3 days, and he kept introducing the topic of telepathy as an oh, by the way type of thing. And so finally, I can be really naive in some time. And it took me about 48 hours to say, this guy's not interested in remote viewing. He already knows what's on the moon. He's interested in the telepathic thing, And so I said, come on, you guys have a problem, a telepathic problem with ETs, don't you? And, of course, that blew the cool of everybody. And I had promised not to talk about this for 10 years.
For 10
years? There was no paper trail of this project and anything. But what had happened was I briefly got on the inside of this super-duper secret thing of dealing with ETs. And it turns out I didn't play my cards right. If I had played my cards better, I could have probably been taken into the whole thing and become a lifetime project,
What is on the moon, Ingo?
Stuff. And them.
And them. Their stuff.
It's not our stuff.
Well, there has been, when you think about the U.S. space program,
yes.
The manned space program, particularly,
yes.
Over 30 years ago, we went to the moon, and we've never gone back.
That's right.
Nor have we gone anywhere else with men.
That's right.
And a lot of people have been really curious about that, and I know they talk about money and they talk about a lot of other things. And I've interviewed a lot of astronauts, Ingo, and when you ask them about their time on the moon, walking on the moon, they give you really strange answers. Like, they'll say, well, it's funny, but when I think about it, the entire experience was surreal, and we've asked specific questions about, like, did you see this or did you see that? And there's sort of a stutter-step hesitation, and they'll say, no, but it could have been there, and I could have not seen it. I was in such
really? Did they go that far?
Yeah. Yes.
I've never heard anyone go that far.
Yes, I have.
Well, you're on the pulse of things, and I'm not.
even people like Neil Armstrong, the first guy to set foot on, has made some very intriguing statements with regard to what could be ahead of us, the fantastic things that could be ahead of us, and I don't think he's talking about the International Space Station. He actually did that at the White House. So, and then, of course, we have the fact that all of these astronauts, or the great majority of them actually, have come to real problems, psychological, drinking, domestic problems, all kinds of problems that one might imagine could be precipitated by trying to hold on to information that they don't really want to hold on to. Speculation, but not bad.
Well, I think that they're in a place that is really difficult. Let's say if there's stuff on the moon that isn't ours, then there is a real problem. And I think that the best way to handle that problem is just to put out a public type of program that says nothing at all about anything.
Well, they've done that.
Yeah, they've done that. No, they didn't go back to the moon after a certain point. In fact, they left 3 fully developed manned landing things on the pads and never used them. They were set to go, and they never used the last 3 of them. Did you know that?
I did not know that specifically. No, I didn't.
Well, it's in my book. Everything is in my book.
In other words,
I shouldn't say everything, but things like that are in my book. I mean,
all right,
when you put the pieces together, you come up with a story, right?
That's right.
Okay. So the way to not come up with a story is to prevent the pieces from being put together.
I love reading between the lines, and boy, you sure have lots of good reading between those lines for us. To get your book, or any of your books, by the way, what would you recommend as a first book for people to read? What would you like to have them read right now?
Well, I only have 2 available, and I think they should read both of them because actually they're on totally different topics, but they're interrelated. The first one is called Penetration, the Question of Extraterrestrial and Human Telepathy. And the second one is called Psychic Sexuality, the Biopsychic Anatomy of Sexual Energies. And they both cost $18.95.
$18.95. All right, I've got the phone numbers,
right.
So let me give them out. Are these phone numbers that I'm about to give out, getting pencil, I hope everybody in paper, are these phone numbers day and night, or just day, or what?
Well, right now they're being manned.
Operators are sitting around and waiting.
Yes, and they're both toll-free.
Well, then let's make them earn their money. So if you would like either one of these books, folks, you can call one of 2 toll-free numbers. One is 888-453-4046. That's 888-453-4046, or 877-565-8391. That's 877-565-8391. If one is busy, try the other. And you might want to grab actually both books. Ingo, I've interviewed a lot of people about apparitions and ghosts and things that are inexplicable.